Hello, everyone. Welcome to week 2 of the 6th season of the Cobalt Wins League. Tonight, we will be enjoying a 2-game set between Aftermath Esports Club and Emrys Esports. Both squads are new to the CWL this season, so it is going to be very exciting to see what they're made of and what they will be able to accomplish. We have a pretty high elo lobby here. Pretty much everyone taking the Rift tonight is currently ranked between D2 and Master. I, for one, am very much looking forward to some high-level gameplay. But, of course, my name is Crewman44. Happy to be back here for Season 6, and I am joined tonight by the British Poro. Poro, how are you feeling? Welcome.
Good, thank you, Crewman. Yeah, I had the pleasure, rather, of casting Aftermath last week as well, so good to see them back. I remember Void, in particular, had a really good series, so I'll be eyes on him for this one for me.
Okay, excellent. Yeah, glad to hear that you already have a little bit of experience with this team in particular. You'll be able to offer a little bit of additional insight for us on what we might be able to expect this evening. But do you recall what Void was playing in that game last week?
He had a really good game of Xayah, and then, despite losing game 2, I believe he was playing Vayne, which was cool to see. And he played pretty well on the Vayne as well, even though they did lose that game.
Yeah, Vayne can be a tricky one, of course. A very volatile champion, so can be difficult to actually close out games with that one if the team isn't firing on all cylinders, but certainly exciting to see what Void is going to be bringing out here tonight. If we are going to be seeing some more Vayne gameplay, or if maybe something else is in the works for Aftermath. It looks like we do have a little bit of difficulties with the client draft. But we will be getting back into that very, very shortly, guys. No worries. Just production making sure that everything is in tip-top shape, exactly as it should be. But Poro, we have been on the same patch for a good amount of time now. We don't really have anything new necessarily that Riot has introduced to us. You know, the static shiv was slightly nerfed, of course, on the previous patch that they sent out a couple of weeks ago, but is there anything in particular, Poro, that you are looking at in terms of power picks in the meta right now, or things that you expect these teams to really be prioritizing?
I don't expect the Karthus is going to get through at all. That seems to be a big pick for True Emperor, and we do actually see that banned away already. But as for meta picks, I think Kai'Sa's really big at the moment, Ashe is really big. The static shiv thing, like you said, it has been nerfed. It's still playable, but you have to take minion dematerializer to make it work, so it's definitely a lot less easy to opt into.
Yeah, absolutely. Kai'Sa definitely, I feel like Kai'Sa came out of nowhere. Like, she's been picked, she's getting picked like first rotation in pro games a lot from what I've seen, in multiple different regions even. So that is pretty exciting. I do enjoy some Kai'Sa gaming. It's a very fun champion to watch and a fun champion to cast as well, especially as a play-by-play. You know, she's can be very aggressive as kind of the nature of the champion, and that can be really, really exciting. But the Maokai, looking to be the priority here for Aftermath on the blue side.
Yeah, Maokai B1, something you see a lot. I think it's quite susceptible to a Silas pick if Emrys can play that, but maybe on third pick. But one big thing is the Victor's banned away. It's one of Last Wish's best champions, and he played it in his match last week and performed really well, so see that taken away.
Oh, there is the Xayah that's going to be taken away from Void. You were just mentioning earlier on that is something that the ADC for Aftermath played extremely well on last week, so that takeaway does make some sense. I imagine True Emperor has got a good number of games on the Bird Lady as well. Don't have those stats in front of me, but the Rakan will be taken away, and then the Olaf comes in
nasty
response
Olaf
to the CC. Yeah, definitely.
A lot of the time, the problem you're going to see with an Olaf is like struggling to get to people in the first place, but Aftermath have drafted 3 melee champions so far. They all have to run at you. They're gonna, like, someone's gonna have to deal with this Xayah, and if Olaf's just stood in the way, he can be an absolute monster here, so I really like this pick.
Definitely, definitely. Although I will say that the Olaf and the Xayah don't necessarily synergize the most effectively. Olaf, generally speaking, as you just mentioned, trying to run forward, and Xayah generally does excel when she's peeling back. Not to say that they can't work together, it's just not a combination that you usually see. But the Rel is going to come through here also. Will be a support Rel, I have to imagine, since the Jarvan has already been locked in for Emrys. Kai'Sa being hovered here as a potential response to the Xayah.
Actually going for the Jinx. It's interesting that they're now trying to play sort of the long range game and keep away from this Olaf.
Yeah, definitely. What do you think about that? We have the bot lanes all picked now here, Poro. What do you think about Jinx Rakan versus Xayah Rell?
They have the ability to position behind the Jinx traps to stop the rail engage. They have the longer range in lane. They should be fine. They're scaling better, but the problem with Jinx here compared to something like the Kai'Sa is how vulnerable she is to the Jarvan ult. She can really get trapped in, and we do actually see, looks like we're going to get the Sylas coming out into the Maokai, stealing that ultimate away.
There it is. You called it. As soon as we saw that Maokai pick, you were calling for that Sylas to come through. Emrys waited all the way until R5 to actually pick up that champion, but they will do so in the end for Last Wish in the mid lane. Very interesting drafts here, especially on the side of Emrys, though. With I want to say, with the Sylas and the Jarvan can be a very explosive, aggressive duo, even in the early game. So see if they're going to be able to put any pressure on as a mid-jungle duo to try and get themselves an early advantage. But on the side of Aftermath, really seems like they're just opting into a straight-up team fighting composition here for Game 1.
Yeah, both teams looking to team fight here, but we see extra range on the side of Aftermath. You were talking about how Xayah wants to move back rather than forward, and I think in this draft she does feel a little bit stranded. The rest of her team all want to dive in now, whereas she can't really hit the Azir or the Jinx, and the saplings to get around, so it can be awkward for her here.
Absolutely, and the Xayah can move forward as well, can use those Feather Storms aggressively, of course. It's just not necessarily what the champion is best at, but still, I want to say it was mostly a takeaway, locking in that Xayah, takeaway from Void. But it can work very well sort of in this composition as well. You can dodge away from Glacial Prisons and Nature's Grasps and things like that with the Feather Storm. So definitely, I think a good amount of Xayah value for Emrys in this draft. But we'll see how True Emperor is going to be able to pilot it. We are waiting through the spectator delay right now. Before we go into the break, Poro, what do you think about these compositions overall? Do you think either one of these teams found any kind of meaningful advantage from our Game 1 draft?
I think it's relatively even overall. Both teams have the potential to get things done. Definitely more of a bot side focused draft for Aftermath, but the reverse on the side of Emrys. These two solo lane champs are really potent in this draft. You've got Sylas taking away some really good ultimates for himself. You've got Olaf there's nothing really stopping him unless Azir can preemptively drop a wall in his way. So yeah, the solo lane is looking really strong for Emrys, but the scaling power of the bot lane on Aftermath looking stronger. Definitely. Really, really cool how the teams are drafting for different strengths, and now all that's left is to find out who will be able to execute better, who will be able to play around their win condition more effectively. Emrys with those really aggressive solo lanes, trying to find an early lead, trying to snowball the game, and Aftermath playing for the team fights. They've got the scaling, they've got the range advantage. See if they're going to be able to execute, keep their Azir and their Jinx safe. We're going to be getting into Game 1 right after this, folks. Don't go anywhere. Cobalt wins League. Season 6, Week 2, right after this.
Welcome on to Summoner's Rift, my dear CWL fans. For the first game of the night, once again, Aftermath Esports Club on the blue side, Emrys on the red. And it's looking like a pretty relatively calm level 1 here, Poro. Nobody looking for anything super aggressive early on.
Yeah, we got a standard spread coming out at level 1. I think both teams could go for an invade, but it's going to flip the game. I think whoever gets ahead in this game is going to be really favored. For Aftermath, it gets them closer to their scaling quicker, and for the side of Emrys, if either of their solo lanes start developing a lead, the side lane is going to be so hard to answer. So, looking to stay safe.
Yeah, we shall see. The early game, as you say, can be extremely important, but nobody wanting to throw away the game at that early point in the game anyways. You know, that's the inherent risk in going for any kind of level 1 play. But everybody's just going to be playing it nice and calm and collected here. We will see both of our junglers starting on the top side of the map, interestingly, on their own respective top side buffs. Going to be clearing down towards the bottom lane, as is so often the case, honestly, in this current meta that we have.
Yeah, and I think nowadays as well, a lot of people are just full clearing towards one side of the map, but they often look to cross through mid and gank there as they go from one quadrant into the other, so mid lane is going to want to be careful. It's a lot easier for Azir to set up the wave favorably early than it is for Sylas, so needs to watch out for that Sedge.
Yeah. The Jarvan is extremely potent, though, of course, in those early ganks, so could offset the pushing power of the Azir if French Baker makes it into the mid lane on a good timing. Just have to wait and see. I do really like to see Jarvans go for early plays. If I see a Jarvan just do a full clear into Crab into base, I'm generally speaking pretty disappointed with that series of events. You know, it just kind of feels like Jarvan's greatest strength is going for those early ganks, putting on that early pressure. And if you're not doing that, then I just don't know why you picked Jarvan. You know what I mean?
Oh, definitely, I agree. Especially with the Azir and the Jinx on the enemy team and a tank top. Like, you're going to want to get the ball rolling. You're not just going to want to let them sit around and scale for free. As we see Last Wish taking a bit of damage mid.
Definitely, yeah. Beta really putting on the pressure here, controlling that wave as you were predicting just a moment ago. French Baker just full clearing for now. Is the first strike on the Jarvan, which I'm honestly not too sure how common that is these days.
I think you see it with more damage-oriented builds, so we might see that coming out. Potentially looking to just build damage, kill people early, and snowball to victory. But yeah, we'll have to see what he ends up opting for.
Yeah, did go for the Moss Stomper, the green jungle pet, so that would indicate to me that he might want to go for actually more of like a bruiser or more of a frontlining build, but not necessarily. You know, a green pet is just generally good also. So, like you said, we'll wait and see.
Yeah, he may want to. I think the green pet's really important in this game in particular because it gives you that passive tenacity, and against Maokai, Sejuani, Rakan, like Jinx traps, I think you're really going to need that.
Yeah. Fair
this
enough.
Is actually really bad for Beta in the mid lane. It looks great because of the health advantage, but Sylas has got second wind probably, he's got D-shield, he's got a potion, and Azir's completely out of mana.
Does have the teleport still, though, so if Beta does manage to get this wave in as well, then can go back to base, go for the teleport, but Jarvan in the area, French Baker could look for their first play of the game. Here comes Wish, looking to land the chains. Will do so for the EQ, flash away, though. Beta able to stay safe for now on the Pigeon. We'll have to expend the flash, though, and likely the teleport as well to come back and try and fix that wave, because that did not get pushed in all the way, as we do see the Grand Entrance come out in the bottom side, but Lord Lighty is totally fine.
Yeah, and it's a bit of a disaster in the mid lane. Both summoners are going to have to be used now, and you're now extremely vulnerable to the Jarvan. That flash is going to be down on Jarvan's level 6 timer, and you've got to play really safe as this Azir now into the Sylas Jarvan.
As far as mid lane picks go, Azir is still going to have at least the one option of sweeping himself out of that Cataclysm, but certainly going to be very careful, as you say, as the Flame Chompers come down, but True Emperor not going to be stepping on those. Does take a little bit of a bad trade, but the wave is pushing in towards the Xayah, so should be able to collect this.
Yeah, you can see how the extra range from the Jinx is making these trades quite easy. She's just standing back, shooting rockets at the Xayah. The Xayah can't really get close. But not a lot of kill potential from either side, really, in bot lane.
Definitely, yeah. Both of these marksman champions really do need their items to come online before they have that kill threat. His last wish going to go in with the chains here. Remember, Beta no flash, but the Azir healthy enough for now. Silas also has already used the teleport. Now both junglers around the mid lane. Dolls on vision, clearing out that ward and bot side river brush.
Yeah, it doesn't
Darvin,
look like
I think,
anything's
is
going to come in.
still
It might wrap around on
unseen.
bot, though.
Yeah, Adolwolf should be able to get away here. The Blade Caller is not quite enough to finish off the Rakan. Lover's Quarrel there, but not a deadly one just yet.
Yeah, and back to this mid lane where everything seems to be happening right now. The Azir, because he was forced back so early, he wasn't able to get the Lost Chapter, so you can see he's suffering with his mana again.
Yeah, definitely. I guess that's why Beta was staying as long as they were, right, in that mid lane. They were trying to get the Lost Chapter money, but weren't quite able to get there before French Baker made their presence felt. Must have it now, I imagine. That's why we're going for another recall, because the wave, once again, is pretty awkward for the Pigeon.
Yeah, I'm actually really impressed by how Last Wish is playing this lane. It can often be awkward to play Silas into the range champions. You've got to be really comfortable trading your health for mana, but he's doing a great job of that so far.
Absolutely. Yeah, is a little bit behind in CS, but not. It's still a very manageable deficit, right? And does have those more minions to farm also. So I quite agree. The Silas into the Azir has been looking pretty good so far. Both mid laners with level 6 available now, as we do see Adolwolf moving into the mid lane to help his mid laner finish out the shove here. Very nice roam from the support.
Yeah, this is going to help Azir a lot. He's going to get a nice base. Probably get the
This could be trouble, though. Grand entrance from Adolwolf to try and go for the disengage, and everybody's just scattering to the winds, but Beta is getting engaged on, has the shuffle and the sweep, gets all three members to try and create some space, and now it's Rail flashing over the wall, burning down, trying to stay alive. It's last wish on the Silas, who's running out of HP, and that would be the first blood going over to Dolls. It's the jungler for Aftermath, and now the stun comes through. French Baker trying to re-engage, trying to set something up for the Olaf. Now he will be able to take down the mid laner. Both mid laners go down, and now Windsor, the Olaf has roamed down from the top side as the supports will be traded as well. The minions are going to finish off Jarvan in the mid lane, and it's absolute chaos in mid as the fight breaks out all at once, 3-2 in favor of Aftermath, as Naraz wasn't quite able to get down there on time on the Maokai.
Chaos is exactly the word I was thinking of. I couldn't have put it better myself. You've got French Baker, EQ flashing in, like really nice mechanically, but I don't think you realized that Dals on the Sejuani was in the area. Then you have Beta getting a huge shuffle. Looks like the fight's going to go the way of Aftermath. But then this Olaf, who's been quietly generating double the CS of Maokai, runs down from topside and turns the fight once again.
Yeah, top lane, a place that we haven't really discussed very much just yet, because we expect nothing of importance to really be happening up here in the early game, but this is a pretty insane CS lead for Windsor up here on this Olaf.
Olaf's one of those champions where, like, if he's really fed going into the mid game, who's going to be able to answer him in side lane? He's going to be generating so much pressure.
Yeah, I mean, I guess Azir can try to match the Olaf and just, like, not get engaged on, but maybe easier said than done. And generally, you want your Azir to be grouped up with the rest of the team anyway, so will be a tricky puzzle for Aftermath to try and solve once we get a little bit later on into the game. It is about a 1,000 gold lead, just under 1K for Aftermath in the first 10 minutes or so.
Yeah, and we've got an engaging top. I don't think anything's going to happen.
Aggressive from Naraz there. Windsor does have the Ragnarok, so can try and turn on to the Maokai as Naraz is pushed up very far to try and get this wave in. Windsor not sure maybe if there are reinforcements in the area, though. He's going to pop the Ragnarok now. The CC is not going to do anything. Does the tree have enough damage, though, as to fight in the bot lane? Also, it's going to be the Rakan, actually, that gets taken down, and Windsor will win out in the top lane also. So, across the map, Emrys picking up a couple of more kills, and they have tied up the gold now. Dead even.
Yeah, Emrys going to convert this bot lane kill into a dragon. While that happened, obviously we saw the Maokai trying to crash the wave in top lane and dies for it. While that was happening, Dals on the Sejuani managed to take away the Rift Herald. No vision on that from the side of Emrys, so they didn't know that that was being done, but one objective apiece and a kill apiece.
Yeah, we are trading those early neutrals, as you say. But definitely good news for the side of Emrys with that extra kill going into the Olaf's pocket. And a kill for the Jarvan as well. French Baker with another good gank down towards this bottom side this time. Allows them to secure that first dragon. Both junglers now in the vicinity. Lord Lighty going to be hex flashing in, looking for the play onto Void, but the Jinx with the Ghost is able to kite away, and True Emperor puts the feathers in the wrong direction. The Featherstorm, or the Blade Caller, is decent for the root, but it's going to be the Rel that goes down first, and now True Emperor on the Xayah flashing away, trying to stay alive, but everything has already been used. I don't know if he's going to be able to get away. The slow comes through. The Super Mega Death Rocket comes out. French Baker going back in there to try and peel for his marksman, but he only offers himself up as an additional sacrifice over to the side of Aftermath. It's an absolute slaughter in the bottom lane this time around as Aftermath once again find themselves with the lead.
It's absolutely perfect for the side of Aftermath. The gold goes exactly where they want it onto the Jinx. True Emperor uses both his summoners, does, as you said, accidentally uses ult backwards, which is a slight misplay that cost quite a lot, because I think if all of the feathers were hitting onto the backline there of Aftermath, it could have done a lot more damage.
Absolutely, yeah, that fight could have looked very different if the Xayah was able to get out some more damage in that one, but unfortunate, maybe that's just some nerves, maybe some uncomfortability with the champion, not really too sure, but regardless, that is very, very good news for Aftermath. They have 2 kills now on their Jinx. Void able to complete the Kraken Slayer on the base after that fight, so feeling really good about their position right now in this game. And this is the player that you were calling out from Champs Like that we should be keeping our eyes on, right, for this Aftermath squad. Performed extremely well last week, and now once again is set up for success. Double grand entrance into the quickness. It's Adolwolf with the angle. Finds the engaged True Emperor, trying to walk it out. The Super Mega Death Rocket, not quite enough damage to finish that job. Sejuani coming in from the jungle, looking for just a little bit more damage. Lady trying to flash away, trying to survive, but won't be able to do so. It is going to be the Xayah just barely that makes it up, but the support will not be so lucky. 3-0 now for the Jinx, and the Herald as well. Oh dear.
A ton of gold over to Void, and just making the repeat play, punishing the fact that Xayah doesn't have ultimate or summoner spells. And yeah, like you were saying, Void had a really good performance last week.
Oh, Sejuani starts up the dive, and it's cleanly executed by Aftermath. 4-0. Did I say 3-0? I meant 4.
Yeah, Void's huge now, and based on last week, this is exactly where you want your gold, both in terms of champion and player, because Void, once he had a lead on that Xayah, he just didn't let it slip, so...
Alright, we'll see if the Jinx performance is going to be similarly exceptional for Void down here. We do have the bot lane has made their way back to the turret to defend. They know, oh, the Magnet Storm doesn't quite have enough range to get the pull back. Still a little bit of a slow, at least. The stun will come out, and Void, no flash. That is going to be the shutdown. Support and jungle, we're going for the counter jungle instead of defending Jinx there. So the bottom side just not really on the same page. As here comes French Baker into the mid lane. A nice move there from Beta to create a lot of space, but the flash over the Azir wall from French Baker into the Cataclysm sets it up. And here in comes Silas to knock it down. Last Wish going to pick up their first. And a couple of mistakes now coming through from Aftermath. This game very back and forth so far, Poro.
A ton of action in this game, back and forth, as you say. No clear winner so far over the course of the game, but just as importantly, though less action-packed, is the top lane. The lead is growing bigger and bigger. There's been plates taken, huge CS lead. We saw the solo kill. This Olaf's going to be massive this game.
Yeah, the Olaf is definitely going to be really, really tough to deal with. Closing in, honestly, on a flame horizon already at 15 minutes is pretty insane. Is over that 10 CS a minute mark. Weenzer is on the Olaf in the top lane, so really, really impressive stuff. And is going to be a menace in those late game team fights. As you called out earlier, it's going to be really tough to deal with in those side lanes.
Yeah, it looks like he's building into the Stride Breaker as well, which is going to make life even more difficult for Void. It's another big slow that he's got to deal with. If this all ever gets on top of him, I think he's dead. A little trade in the mid lane. Not too much going to come of that.
I imagine the Stolen Shuffle was timing out there for Last Wish, so I just wanted to go in and throw some soldiers at the Azir, see what happens. Just going to be a little bit of a trade, as you say. Our second dragon is coming up quite soon now, Poro. Will be a mountain. As our second. We'll see if the side of Emrys are going to be able to stack that up. Both junglers, of course, are on the bottom side of the map right now, trying to gain some control. to fight for this objective. Control in the bot lane, though. Definitely on the side of Aftermath for now. Lord Lady.
I don't know if Aftermath want to take this fight. I don't know whether they're timing it, but Windsor has TP, but Nero's doesn't.
Moving over, they're trying to engage on a true Emperor. The Featherstorm is going to come out, but the CC is there. They are on top of the Xayah, but the Blade Caller comes out. The Super Mega Death Rocket to finish the kill. Void finds his mark, but now the Jinx is extended very, very far forward, and Void will be taken out in recompense. Windsor has teleported into this play as well. That's going to be a death onto the Rakan also, so a decent attempt there, but you're engaging onto a Xayah who had ult. Oh, True Emperor was able to buy a lot of time there. Oh, the chains connect, and Beta, is going to get taken down. I think maybe a little bit of misexecution there from the Azir. Maybe could have swept himself away from that Sylas, but in the end, it is going to be a very decisive play in favor of Emrys.
Yeah, looks like they're trying to trade the Herald, but they're going to get zoned off by Windsor here, and this game has been a tale of top gap. It's I'd say the biggest takeaway from that is Nero's time your enemy laner's teleport, because he just went and won that play, not by himself, but the contribution was massive.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, the presence of the Olaf meant that there was really no way that Aftermath could win that fight. You know, it was close until there was an Olaf there, and then it wasn't close anymore. So definitely good moves from Windsor. Is going to be able to lock down Shirley as well. Has that second Herald in tow for the Olaf, who is already such a menace up here. Be able to put on a lot of pressure with that in inventory. Probably not going to need it to take this tier 1. Might want to drop it down anyways, just to accelerate the game a little bit more, but
yeah, and it's a terrible feeling dropping this far behind to an Olaf in game 1 of a series, because then you start thinking, well, which of my bans could I swap for it? Because the amount of champions that it limits in draft, you know, anything that wants to be in melee range and apply CC, as we see a gank in
it gets knocked up out of his sweep, but he does have the Emperor's Divide to disengage. Close call there for the Azir. Luckily had the ult.
You know, I don't think Neros can stop Windsor taking this T2 here with the Herald.
Yeah, I think you might be right. He's going to try. The Olaf is going to take a couple of turret shots, and does have the Ragnarok, though. Not going to want to use it just yet. The Herald will charge. The turret will live. Beta getting shuffled. Doesn't have the ultimate anymore, remember, and that is going to be Last Wish finding the play in mid lane. Bot lane, though, this is the power point for Aftermath. They're going to be able to take this tier 1. Looking for a little bit more as the chase continues, but French Baker is here for the counterplay. Gets the dunk, gets the Cataclysm onto Void. The Jinx is trapped in the pit with no flash. It's just going to get annihilated by the feathers. Doll's going to get taken down as well as Last Wish after finding the solo kill in mid. Teleports down here to help out the bot lane, and it's going to be the cross map ace as Windsor's going to find the solo in top lane as well. And just like that, Poro, it was a close game for a while, but after that sequence, it really does feel like Emrys are in full control.
Yeah, we talked about the impact of these champions in the solo lanes for Emrys, and what a performance from the players. Both of them finding solo kills at the same time, both of them back-to-back making TP plays into bot lane, spreading their lead around the map. Amazing play.
Absolutely. Yeah, really, really impressive stuff from the solo laners in particular, as you just highlighted. 4, 1, and 5 for Last Wish on the R5 pick. Sylas has, of course, the Rod of Ages completed, and then, of course, 4, 0, 1 for Windsor on the Olaf. Was also a counter pick, right? They saw the Maokai Sejuani, they saw the Olaf angle, and went for it, and 2.5 items already up there in the top lane, level 14, 2-level advantage over the Maokai.
Yeah, he's huge, and he's pushed all the way to the inhib tower in top lane. They've rotated him into bot, and he's actually opted for the Trinity Force, so the speed at which he's going to take these towers is unreal right now.
There's so much attack speed on the Olaf. French Baker is going to find Naraz here. The CC is there, the damage is not, so we do have True Emperor moving over now on the Xayah. Now we have some damage. Feather's going to come out. Naraz doesn't have any friends coming, and the tree is going to get cut down. Sent off to the lumber mill.
I'm so used to seeing Maokai in the jungle these days. I saw Maokai die and my head snapped to, can they do Baron? And then I realized it's the top laner.
Well, they still might be able to do Baron. It is spawning in about 7 seconds, so it would be a very early Baron, but it is a lot of control, as the quickness is going to get, or not activated quite yet, but the knockup is going to be more than enough to get that kill onto the Rel, as Lord Lady and Baker were looking to do some aggressive counter junkling, overstayed their welcome just a bit.
Yeah, they're wanting to convert into more leads off of the kill. Lord Lighty and Baker, as you're saying, they want to take away the jungle camps, but then you have True Emperor and Last Wish choosing to take the mid T1. I think the four of them need to commit to one thing rather than spread around and do two.
Definitely, yeah, a little bit of a split call there from the side of Emrys, but they're still very comfortably in the lead, as we can see. About 4.5k is the gold lead, as Windsor is going to get swept. The Ragnarok is just a little bit too late, and he can't get around the Azir wall. He's going to take a couple of turret shots, but does it matter, though, is the question. He's got the shield, and he just needed one more auto attack, and this Olaf just cannot be stopped. He is completely untouchable in the side lane and in the mid lane. The Cataclysm onto all three. Lord Letty with the follow-up engage, and the feathers will fly as True Emperor eviscerates the competition. It's going to be another 5-0 in favor of Emrys. They're just running over Aftermath at this point.
Yeah, Weens are in the bot lane. He failed to path around that Azir wall, but just slaps him with his wallet in the end. And then the team fight in mid comes out Aftermath as well. This is as good as game over. They're going to grab the Baron, then probably go into the Dragon. Bot inhibs going down.
This has got ugly really quick. I mean, this is exactly the kind of game that you wanted to play on the side of Emrys. You know, with a draft like this, you want to be diving, you want to be playing aggressively and finding these flanks for the fights. It took them a little while to really get the ball rolling with this composition, but my oh my, is that thing moving now.
Yeah, and I think the important thing is, I've already said, but how well the solo laners have played. Talked about how Last Wish was trading health for mana really well in lane. Then he's played the fights really well, both of them using their TP very effectively. Obviously, Weenzer had an incredible game.
He's 4 levels up now, the Olaf. Naraz still sitting on 12. And yeah, the Barbarian's just going to run at him, and there's nothing he can do. There was no options for the tree in that situation. This Dragon also is not going to be able to escape. It's 2 Mega Death Rocket. Ooh. Good attempt from Void. Ultimately, I don't think it was going to matter anyways, as we do have the 5v4 on the map right now. Dolls trying to defend this inhibitor turret in the top lane against the Baron buffed level 16 Olaf. We'll need some help from the Jinx. They will be able to hold on to that turret for now, but we can already see the push coming through in the other lane. Still almost 2 minutes on the Baron buff. Do you think, Foro, that the side of Emrys are going to be able to end the game with this Baron buff? Hang on a second, actually. We've got the engage coming out. The quickness into the grand entrance from the Rakan. Is the engage good enough? They're going to be able to shut down the Xayah. French Baker EQ away, trying to stay alive. Last Wish over the wall, coming over from the bot lane. Stolen Emperor's Divide will disengage the fight. It will just be the one kill. Olaf is on the Nexus, though. He's already taken down the Nexus turrets. He's focusing the Nexus. The knockup will come through. Ragnarok not available. It's not going to matter as Weezer gets in the last auto attack, and the game will end at 23 minutes. Emrys just found themselves one team fight, and it felt like they just instantly ended the game afterwards.
Well, to answer your question, yes, crewman. I think they are going to be able to end the game with this Baron. It looks good going for the 5v4 team fight in mid lane, but they just completely forget that Weezer exists on this Olaf, which I don't know how they forgot about him, because he made a statement that game.
He really did. He really, really did. Is going to be able to top out those damage charts at just under 21k. For Weezer on the top lane. Olaf, second place, was almost a tie between Azir and Jinx, actually, on the side of Aftermath. They both were getting out a good amount of damage, but they just didn't have the time. You know, at the side of Aftermath, they weren't able to play the fights out front to back really like they wanted, you know, with all of these champions that are able to get onto your backline so easily. The Olaf with the Ragnarok, the Jarvan with the EQ, and into the Cataclysm. We saw that multiple times from French Baker, and it did, in the end, it was Emrys that were just playing out their win condition a little bit better.
Yeah, and I think the most impressive thing to me is the teleport usage. Both solo laners timed the teleport of their opponent and used it to make a cross-map play, and you could tell that Aftermath weren't really thinking about it. They went for the Dragon, they tried to contest it when Olaf had teleport, but Maokai didn't, and they got TP flanked on, they got collapsed on, and they died for it. Something you really need to be thinking about in these games.
Yeah, we definitely saw that multiple times in this game, was both the Olaf and the Sylas coming from these different angles in the fights to collapse onto the backline and not allow Void to really play the game the way that they wanted to. And yeah, it was honestly just really clean down the stretch. I mean, 23 minutes is a very fast game one. In the beginning, it's especially crazy thinking about how back and forth the game was for like the first 10, I want to say almost 15 minutes. It felt like the teams were really going blow for blow. But there was that one decisive team fight when that first 5-0 that Emirates was able to secure for themselves. That felt like the backbreaker.
Yeah, and I think while it was back and forth, the gold, like the top lane, the gold lead was getting bigger and bigger, and you could tell that the ball was just starting to roll, and it was kind of like, when is this going to crash into something, you know? And we saw it. The Olaf came up huge. I was really happy with the Olaf on R3 as soon as they picked it in draft. I think it was a perfect pick here. We'll have to see if Aftermath change their draft approach next game, because that's going to be a problem.
Well, I imagine they're going to want to change something. That is for sure. Pretty easy POG vote there, I think. I imagine there will be an MVP vote either in the Discord or in the chat. I'm not 100% sure. But after the series, we're going to be doing that MVP vote. So Weenzer, clearly the front runner thus far on the Olaf, but we'll see what the side of Aftermath are going to be able to get done in this second game. Don't go anywhere, folks. We're going to go to a short break, but afterwards, week 2 will continue. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the CWL. We are getting ready to jump into our Game 2 draft between Emrys and Aftermath. I believe our teams are going to be switching sides for this second game, so we will be able to see Emrys on the blue side and Aftermath on the red. So that's at least something that's going to be different, Poro. But what other changes might you like to see from Aftermath, considering how that Game 1 ended?
Something needs to happen regarding Olaf. They can maybe trade one of their bans for it, because a problem they have is that a lot of the champions that they like to play struggle into Olaf. We've got Urgot in top lane, Ornn, you've seen the Maokai. We've also got like Orianna in mid lane, and then obviously immobile carries in ADC. Milio in support as well. Well, pretty much every support feels like it's countered by Olaf. Like, their job is generally to either stand still and heal or CC, and he just ignores that, so... Yeah, I think Olaf is a bit of a problem for the way they like to play the game.
Definitely, and it's clearly something that Windsor is extremely proficient on also, so that is definitely going to need a look, I think, in this next draft. We'll see. I imagine it will be a ban that will come through onto the Olaf, but maybe we do see the takeaway also, or if they have some kind of answer, if they think they do have some kind of answer into the Olaf, that would be interesting to see as well, but like you're just saying, it can be easier said than done.
Yeah, I think the best thing they can do is secure themselves a top matchup that can actually play into it. The Maokai is really not good into the Olaf, but also if they can get the Jarvan for themselves, obviously Emrys had the Jarvan that game, but Olaf took TP Ghost, right? And if he wants to take TP Ghost, we saw how impactful he was with his TP in the Dragon fight. The Jarvan can just ult him and EQ out, and he's just trapped for the entire fight. He can't do anything. So that's one adaptation they could look to make.
Yeah, absolutely. At least we do have the counterpick on the side of Aftermath this time around. They do have a red side, of course, as I just mentioned. So they can't. That is certainly an option to just leave the Olaf open and save that last counterpick to try and get a favorable matchup in that top lane. And taking the Jarvan away could also be a good methodology for trying to counteract this pick somewhat. We are now into the draft, guys, so it's time to find out what Aftermath have come up with in terms of what the response is going to be. It's going to be the Milio banned away once again to start us off.
Yeah, and I think regardless of what champions end up being picked or not picked, a really big takeaway for Aftermath as well is that they need to time teleport cooldowns and actually play around them, because that was where a lot of their mistakes came from last game. As we see, the Olaf is banned away already.
Yes. I think that's the easiest solution, right? Is just get him on that ban list, and then you just don't have to worry about it. So definitely don't mind that at all from Aftermath. But I 100% agree with what you were just saying, Poro, about being able to track these summoners a little bit better, being able to track the map movements of your opponents in a more efficient way. And I want to say just general teamwork and communication, I think, needs to be stepped up a little bit for Aftermath. We saw multiple times in that previous game, there were multiple different moments where it just seemed like some members weren't necessarily on the same page. They were trying to do things or play out the fights differently. And that sort of indecision, that sort of miscommunication, I feel created a lot of opportunities for Emrys to find those really, really big punishes. And it's not easy, especially at this level, to get team fights that one-sided in your favor. We saw multiple clean aces in that first game for Emrys, so really do need to see Aftermath step it up a little bit, I think.
Yeah, really well played by Emrys. Looking at the draft, we've got the Jarvan again for Emrys, and we're seeing Void gets his hands on his Xayah, but we get the Twitch Alistar into the Xayah Rakan. The Twitch going to massively outrange Xayah. Again, she's feeling like she needs to run in. As we see Illaoi as well, who also is going to struggle to get into this Twitch. He's just going to kill her from outside her range, but the Alistar can completely deny the Rakan engage as well.
Yeah, very interesting that Aftermath would decide to go for the Illaoi in that first round of picks. We do still need to see top lane locked in for the side of Emrys, so it seems like Windsor is going to be able to get counterpick for themselves once again here. Very dangerous strategy, I want to say, for Aftermath.
And Windsor has played a lot of games of Yone, and I don't know whether he's comfortable with the matchup, but that's a really good matchup into the Illaoi. You E in, and then if she ever lands the E, that's when you pop back out, right? And it instantly deactivates it. But if she doesn't land it, you commit to the trade. The Gangplank is also okay.
Oh, he's got some options here. That's for sure. The Ornn's probably not it, I want to say. The Aatrox.
I quite
Aatrox seems
like
to
the
be allowed.
Aatrox. The
You like the
Aatrox has a
Aatrox?
good lane too. Yeah, the Alawi's very immobile. It's easy for the Aatrox to hit his spells, and so is the Xayah. And because she's a short-range carry, she's going to be in range for the Aatrox to hit those Qs as well.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, Aatrox likes when the enemy team has to run at him, as does Vlad. So both of these picks making sense here.
All right, so a strong back half of the draft, certainly for Emrys. They are able to secure the Jarvan for French Baker once again as well. And you were also mentioning that you liked the Twitch Alistar into the Xayah Rakan, did you not?
I do, yeah. I think I like Emrys's draft more in this second game. So we'll see if they can convert that into a 2-0. What they do have to be careful of is the volatility of this Zac that we see in the jungle.
Certainly, yes. It is going to be a very different look for Dolls. Well, not the most different, I guess. I mean, Sejuani also is generally just speaking, just like an engage frontliner. So the Zac does operate in sort of a similar way, but can be more explosive in the early game. Can try and match the Jarvan when it comes to that early pressure. So we'll see what the jungle pathing looks like this time around.
Yeah, one thing that I like is that in this game where they've got Vladimir, they have a jungler who's not massively resource dependent, because a lot of the time, if you're playing a resource dependent jungler, you're going to want your mid to get prio and move for you. Vlad's not going to be able to do that, so it's good that the Jarvan not needing as much resources as something like a Graves or a Kayn or, these kind of champs.
Absolutely, yeah. Overall, you were just saying that you liked the side of Emrys better in this drafting phase, and we liked their gameplay better in game number 1 as well. So maybe let's just take a moment while we have a little bit of time on our spectator delay to try and craft the game plan for Aftermath. What's their main point of attack in the early game? What's their win condition for trying to tie up this match?
I think they need to abuse the prio that they have in mid with the Annie into the Vlad. They need to move the Annie and the Zac around together and make plays, maybe dives onto bot lane or ganks onto top lane, or even invade the Jarvan, but they need to get things done early using this mid prio.
Definitely. We'll see if they're going to be able to accomplish that. Should at the very least be able to get that mid prio right into the Vladimir, and they do have a lot of engage to try and go for these plays with the Zac, with the Rakan. So definitely some options to work with for Aftermath. As long as they are on the same page and communicating well, then they're definitely going to have a shot here in this second game. Don't go anywhere, guys. We're going to be right back with the continuation of Season 6, Week 2. We'll see you soon. Welcome back to the Rift, my friends, for the second game of the night between Aftermath Esports Club and Emrys Esports. Emrys convincing in that first game. Really, really impressive performance from them, and they're looking to continue that right here at the start of game number 2. The 5-stack up towards the top side, looking for a lonely Alawi in a bush.
Oh, I think she saw them. Yeah, she saw them.
Yes, they will be spotted out. And we will just have the casual level 1 once again. Interestingly, French Baker, a little bit of a different loadout this time around. Poro going for the lethal tempo on the Jarvan. What are your thoughts there?
I think it's probably going to be better than First Strike, especially into what they're like 3 melee champions here: the Zac, the Alawi, the Rakan. He's going to be autoing them a lot, so it seems good. It's interesting that the side of Aftermath have waited so long to drop this wall, because they could have walked in for free earlier, knowing that no one would be there, but they have dropped it now, so they're going to know where French Baker is starting.
Yeah, they're going to get a little bit more mileage out of it as well. You know, ultimately, it probably won't really matter. They might be able to catch the Jarvan if French Baker does want to go for a full clear again. They might see him walking up from the Krugs towards the chickens, potentially, with that later drop on the ward. But, yeah, ultimately, we are going to have that knowledge for Aftermath. I don't believe that the side of Emrys know where the Zac is starting, but we know that he is going to be on his own red, and we'll be pathing towards that bot side once again.
We do know that, and Zac's one of those champions like Rek'Sai, where a lot of the time it can take you some time to adjust. You've got to remember what all the angles are that you can gank from, because he's not like regular junglers where he has to walk in. He just appears from somewhere.
That's right. Yeah, he is very good at that. We'll see where he appears from to start things off. Do you expect that first look from the Zac to be in this bottom lane?
It could be in the mid lane now, actually. Vladimir being traded really low by Beta's Annie here.
Only level 2 still for Last Wish. Probably took Pool second, but maybe not.
I can tell you that he did not. He has E.
Ah. Well, that explains why he's playing so defensively at the moment then. Vladimir not too gankable at the current time. Junglers both on pace right now, so we will get the headbutt pull. At all, Wolf going back in with the grand entrance. In response, we'll get the flash out from Lighty. So, pretty decent exchange there. Blade Caller connects as well. Twitch taking a lot of damage, but they will get the wave in. And now we will see... Oh, that's the EQ flash in, but not quite able to find the knock up there was Baker, because Beta, with the very quick flash away, actually, is what went down in that mid lane.
Yeah, and while they do have to commit Alice to flash in bot lane, I like what they did. They know that Zac's, or they assume that Zac is pathing bot. I guess they don't know. But they execute a cheater recall, they go back to base, they shop, and now they can't possibly be ganked because they're not in lane, and they're going to come back and catch this wave under their tower. So, really nice.
Absolutely. And Twitch is not a champion where you're really trying to put the pressure on early either. So, very, very comfortable early laning phase across the board here for both sides, really. But Beta having to expend that early flash does hurt a little bit for the Annie, but we'll likely have it back up, you know, by the time we see any really big team fights.
Yeah, and we see True Emperor, he's building AP Twitch, and I actually really like this into Ilaoi specifically, and kind of Annie too, and also Xayah. If there's champions without dashes, AP Twitch is really good. That's like the way you need to think of it, because the W slow scaling scales with your AP, and if you can't get out of it, you get full stacked, and then you get E'd for 1 billion damage, so...
Okay, makes sense. Yeah, and the AP Twitch, just in general, okay, we've got a gank in the bottom side as Dolls is looking for it. Gonna get headbutted away, but Lord Lighty, no flash, remember, is gonna get caught out in the middle of all of these Aftermath members, and the aftermath of that play is likely gonna be a dead cow. Lord Lighty trying to get out through the tri-brush here, the slow from the Twitch, but Dolls gonna have the elastic slingshot, you have to imagine, back up in a second here, looking for it, finds the knock-up over the wall, and in comes the Rakan for a little bit of additional help, and it will be the jungler for Aftermath that picks up the first blood.
Yeah, Neroz needs to be careful here about the cross map. Whenever you see your jungler committing to such an extended play on bot side, you got to think, well, theirs can come top.
Alawi does not have Leap of Faith yet, still just level 5. The Emerald Chain's already connected. The EQ, he was trying to wait until the flash, but then French Baker just a moment too early on the flag means that Naraz will be able to get away with the flash.
Yeah, flashless Ilaoi though. Aatrox is one of those champions where if you don't have your flash, he can full combo you. He can Q1 into the W, then Q2 off to the side, and then when it drags you back in, he lands the Q3, so...
Yeah. especially coming up on those level 6 marks for the top laners. As the EQ in the mid lane, French Baker looking for the flashless Annie. Beta with the double stun, really, really nice with the flash forward. Hope at the trade, actually, as Beta with that last fireball is going to be able to trade back onto the Vladimir, the mid laner for Aftermath, making the best out of a bad situation.
Yeah, really nice from Beta to be able to get that kill. He's down a lot of CS into this Vladimir, though, which is not ideal. And we saw last game the solo laners. Oh, potentially.
Pull back.
Yeah, nothing's going to happen here.
It's fine.
But yeah, we saw the solo laners of Emrys last game playing really well. And this game, we see French Baker on the Jarvan playing around both his solo laners again. Just ganking mid, then top, then mid again.
Makes a lot of sense. But the solo laners aren't as strong. Well, at least the Vladimir is not as much of an early game skirmish threat as something like the Sylas. So we did see that play in the mid lane and not going exactly the way that the side of Aftermath wanted it. But this is looking pretty good for Emrys here, as the stun will come through onto Beta, and the last auto attack will finish off the kill. Nice moves there from Lord Lady, the roam into the mid lane to get the Vladimir back into a position of power. Here comes the Zac. Nice time on the Sanguine Pool from Last Wish. Dodge away from the knockup.
Yeah, and Beta there, he knew that Jarvan had recalled. He wants to go and reset after what happened in mid lane. But he didn't think about the second jungler. Support role is really fun.
Yeah, definitely caught off guard by the Alistar roam there, as the Alistar now caught off guard by the Zac coming in over the wall. That's going to be the setup for the Marksman. Void picking up their first of this second game. And now, once again, we see the side of Aftermath with a slight lead early on here. They are on to the first dragon. Pretty early take for that first neutral.
Yeah, really good to get the dragons rolling. With the Twitch Vlad, they're going to get outscaled, so getting Soul as a win condition on the way is definitely something they need to be doing.
And we know it's not going to be a Chemtech Soul, as well as World Ender popped a Leap of Faith to try and respond, but Naraz is already so low on HP, trying to get a little bit of healing. As Aatrox flashing forward, and the last auto attack will secure the kill. Weenzer once again off to the races in this top lane. They let him get the counter pick again in top, and he's already making good on it. Has the CS lead. Oh, the stretching strike's not going to connect there. Grand entrance just short as well. Now the headbutt onto the Rakan underneath the turret. Only takes the one shot, though. Will be able to dash away. The Rakan too slippery. Not going to be able to lock the Birdman down.
Yeah, and Emrys are playing really well around this Zac, putting all of his eggs in the bot lane basket this game. We see another gank for a solo lane.
Yeah, French Baker has the Cataclysm. Is going to use it. We'll get the flash. That's a good trade for the Jarvan. He's pretty happy about that one.
Yeah, but as I was saying, all the eggs going into bot lane for Dowls on the Zac, but both times the only kills they've got, I think, were because Lord Lighty mistimed his Q and didn't actually knock Zac out of his E.
Oh, they had vision. They had vision in the bush. They're going to be able to get the knockback onto Adol Wolf. They're going to be able to get that first kill. Featherstorm comes out, the Blade Caller for the root, but True Emperor, oh, the flash follow for Void, so he can keep vision on the Twitch, and the Xayah will be able to trade that one back. That's a trade up for Aftermath, as the kill onto the AD carry. The Beta in the mid lane, the Hemo Plague will finish the kill, and Last Wish picks up their second, already stacking up on the Dark Seal as well for the Vladimir. And these solo lanes for Emrys are starting to get a little bit out of hand, as Naraz in trouble once again in the top lane. Will just barely be able to limp away from that one, but no TP for the Alawi. He's going to have to go back to base once again here. Going to fall further behind in CS, and this mid lane is looking pretty disastrous, as well as Annie is going to be missing a lot here. You know, Adolf trying to hold the wave. Dolls will land the stretching strike. Nobody to get the knockback with, though. The Let's Bounce will come through. Q2 not in time for Last Wish. The Vladimir will get shut down, but the kill onto the Rakan, not exactly where you want it.
I'd say that's definitely not where you want it. And despite Last Wish dropping, again, we're seeing the prowess of the solo laners from Emrys, and honestly, it's making me question what year it is, because it makes me feel like I'm watching 2018 The Cheyenne Rookie. Like, it's
right.
Really impressive.
Or like Showmaker and Nuggery.
It could be Showmaker and Nuggery 2020, yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Oh. But the bot lane, as you mentioned earlier on, is looking pretty good for Void once again this game. Remember, Void was off to a pretty solid start in game one as well, and there were just a couple of moments where it seemed like the AD was a little bit disconnected from the rest of the team and did get caught out. So if Void and the support and jungle can clean up that communication a little bit, then the Xayah could find herself in a position to carry this game still. We've got a lot of League of Legends left to play here. Knock up onto the turret. Queens are not going to go for it. Has the World Ender, but he also has his jungler. So now this is looking like a pretty clean execution. The Cataclysm for the burst damage. French Baker, though, has to flash away. Will survive that last turret shot. Will he survive the tentacles also? Just barely. The Jarvan will get out, but here comes Dulls into the bot lane, trying to set up Void once again. The pull back onto the Twitch. The True Emperor is going to get taken down. Zach's going to be picking up that kill. Lord Lighty is going to be able to get underneath the turret with the phase rush, but Alistar can't stick around here. Gonna have to vacate the area, but Last Wish and Weens are putting on the pressure once again in these solo lanes.
Yeah, we're seeing a very classic strong side top from blue side, strong side bot from red side. Really nice dive coming out in top lane, but it was quite funny. French Baker looked like he was going to walk back into those tentacles. I think Ilawi's one of those champions where people don't quite know how she works. So because the Test of Spirit was still active, even though she was dead, the tentacles will slam again. So almost walks back into that one. But
was a close one for the Jarvan for sure, but was able to survive. And one of these side lanes is not like the other, as the top tier one has already been taken down. True Emperor underneath the turret, gonna get engaged on by Dulls, but the Zac gonna take a bunch of turret shots. In comes Adolwolf, but not able to find the CC. French Baker now here for the counter gank. This time around, gonna get the Zac into the passive. The teleports raining down as well. This is gonna be Aatrox joining the play. He's so fed right now. Void gonna get run down by the cow. Dulls is gonna go back in onto the Twitch. We'll be able to get that kill, but the Zac is gonna probably have to sacrifice himself on the back end of this one, as French Baker gonna find a kill onto the Rakan. Weens are trying to finish off this jungler. Will be able to get that kill. Now Beta is in the thick of things. The Annie is going to get pulled back by the Emerald Change. The Q3 comes through from the Aatrox. Oh, but the Alistar is going to get taken down. Leaping forward is the Darkin. Weens are now looking for just one more kill. Is it going to be the ace once again at 12 minutes? Not quite. The Emerald Chain's not going to connect this time. Naraz escapes underneath the tier 1, but it's a team fight win for Emrys in the bottom lane.
Yeah, another massive team fight for Emrys. Weenzer comes up huge off the TP, but both TPs used for Aftermath, and a losing play anyway. And while both solo laners TP, Last Wish just took 3 plates and a bunch of waves on mid lane on Vladimir.
Oh yeah, he's so rich right now. We're onto the Dragon right now for Emrys, and this is a little bit ambitious. The Aatrox somehow is going to get the secure on the objective. Now the tank fight as Last Wish roams over and just eviscerates the entirety of Aftermath with the Hemo Plague. It's going to be a wipe on the Dragon Pit as Last Wish picks up a triple kill. And this is looking like the 2-0. If I got to predict at this point here, Poro,
it's solo lane gap again. And
it is.
I just realized they've played Silas, they've played Aatrox. We're talking about who it is. It's Zeka and Kingen.
Oh my god. It's last year Zeka and Kingen. You're 100% right. Is Weensor using the DRX Aatrox skin is the question.
I think he's using the base skin.
He's not. No, he's is that the Blood Moon? I think that's Blood Moon.
Yeah, that's Blood Moon, sorry. I saw it was red at one point, so I thought it was base.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's huge solo lane performance again.
Okay, that's going to be a pullback onto True Emperor, but the Twitch is sneaky enough. He's flashing away. He's going to create enough space, and True Emperor will be able to truly escape from that situation.
Yeah, this Ilawi pick now is going to be feeling really rough because who are you winning against? You're losing to the Aatrox because he's really fed, and the other 2 laners are range champions, so your champ doesn't really work against them. So, I'm not really sure what you're going to do now.
You could probably win against Alistar. The Void is going to go for a Feather Storm. He's going to flash and get the Blade Caller as well. So that will be the Xayah using everything to not die to Weensor, but will be successful in that endeavor of not dying.
Yeah, didn't use the Ghost because he didn't have it, so we'll have that for Dragon. But Flash is down for the Drake fight. Is also down for True Emperor as well, though. Seems like he lost that one in the top lane.
Indeed, yes, True Emperor expended the flash in that top lane to get away from the Zac. Dolls was looking for him once again up there.
Oh, I really like this itemization from Weensor. I've been talking about Duskblade Aatrox. I think it's really strong.
Oh yeah, that's going to be a lot of damage for the Aatrox for sure in these fights. Hemoplague going to come out onto Beta, but Last Wish not willing to commit any further for that play.
Yeah. And we'll see if they can take this Rift Herald before the Dragon spawns. They've got a good 2 minutes and 30 seconds to do it, but if they do, they can hold on to it until that Drake spawns, drop it as a point of pressure, and convert it into a free Drake.
Yeah, I mean, they already have. Look at that gold lead already. It's closing in on 6K, 15 minutes for the side of Emrys. So they are very, very happy with their position in this game right now. 2-level lead in the mid lane for Last Wish over Beta. Looking to run down this Annie right now, flashing in for the last cute. There it is, Last Wish on a rampage, 6-2 on the Vlad. Is Lord Lady gonna find the Alawi in this topside jungle? In comes French making the leap of faith is gonna come out, and the Alistar does in fact lose to the Alawi. Is now Jarvan in some trouble. They kind of opted in to exactly where Alawi wanted them, but the Cataclysm and the AP Twitch damage from Over the Wild will just barely be enough. As the World Ender gonna come out. It's a lot of CC onto Windsor, but is it enough is the question. In comes Dolls. Movement speed from the ultimate will get Aatrox back towards that tier 1 turret. Shurelya's popped. They still want to try and chase this guy down, but they don't have a wave. They can't go for the dive right now.
Yeah, they're just going to take the turret, but the Herald's been taken down. It's dropped in mid. This could be a tier 2 if nobody moves to respond to it, and they're losing waves in top lane as well. I think the cross map is massively favoring Emrys right now.
And Vlad even has ult and Ghost right now. Could look for a lot here on this Annie. She is by herself right now as Void. Oh no, the AD carry by themselves in the lane once again is going to get taken down. It's Windsor and Lady out of the bush. Just get the CC and the Xayah. Actually, it looks like Void had ult there, but just wasn't able to react quick enough. And the CC chain into death. Unfortunate for the AD carry of Aftermath. Dragon coming up now, less than a minute.
Yeah, speaking of unfortunate AD carries, we'll see if True Emperor can get out.
The Grand Entrance going to connect. CC is there. Onto the Twitch. Ignited now. Looking to give this kill over to somebody else besides the Rakan. And it's not going to work out, as the Ignite for Adolwolf is going to get the last hit on that one.
I think it's kind of awkward what Adolwolf just did, because he commits his flash just before a pivotal Drake spawn. He also kills Twitch slightly too early. Like, Twitch is going to spawn and make it to the Drake. If he could have stalled it and maybe not used his flash, it would have been a lot better. But Rakan flash is kind of a big part of your engage for this Aftermath comp.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of get why he wanted to flash anyways. Like, if you don't chase down the Twitch immediately there, then he probably does get away with the invisibility. So, I mean, Adolwolf, they're behind as well, right? So you want to try and get these kills whenever you can. You don't want to be letting people get away if you can help it. But like you said, it is going to make this Drake fight extraordinarily difficult if that is something that Aftermath wanted to contest for. And it looks like as a result, they're just going to give it up. You know, it is possible also, Poro, that they just felt like they were never going to contest this objective, that they felt that they were too far behind to actually look for this team fight in the first place. But
yeah,
either way,
that's valid.
Go ahead.
The problem with that is that with Vlad Twitch on the enemy team and Aatrox outscaling Illaoi in this context, if you're not willing to contest these Drake fights, it's not like you're even scaling into anything anyway. I think you have to flip it. Like, you have to try and get back in. You can't just let yourself bleed out. That's never going to work, so.
Yeah, like the later the game goes, the fights are just going to get more and more difficult, so. Yeah, it is a little bit of a tough situation that Aftermath Club has found themselves in. True Emperor now rotated back into this bottom lane. Dolls has consistently been just following this Twitch around the map, trying to jump on him at every possible opportunity. But it just hasn't seemed like it's going to be enough. You know, the solo lanes, rather, have just been so one-sided in favor of Emrys all night, really, that this little bit of a bot lane advantage that Void has is just not going to be impactful enough, it seems, to actually carry these fights.
Yeah, we mentioned how well Void played in the last series, so maybe Doll's trying to play around his lane because of that, but when both solo lanes are smashing this hard in both games, it's going to be really difficult for bot lane alone to carry it.
Absolutely. We'll see what they're able to get done. You know, they do still have a lot of powerful engage if they can find the perfect angle in these fights and blow up a couple of members right at the start. You know, that can be an angle, but certainly much easier said than done as Windsor is getting pulled back. The flash for the knockback on the Let's Bounce, but Aatrox has his own flash to get back over the wall to safety. Doll's using all of the engage there. Jump now onto Last Wish to try and peel for the rest of the team, but the Hemoplague's already come down. The CC is there, but I just don't know if it's going to be enough. It's Vlad into the pool, getting out a lot of damage on that backline. Zach looking to be the first capture of this fight. The passive is enough to keep the Zach alive. It's Jarvan that's going to get shut down. The Rakan is traded back. as Lord Lighty into the back line is going to find a little bit of CC, but the Blade Caller is massive from Void. Going to get another kill onto the support, but Last Wish able to chase forward with the flash, gets the double kill onto the mid laner, and it was a valiant effort from the side of Aftermath to try and come back in that fight, but in the end it wasn't enough. It's another team fight for the side of Emrys, 3-2.
Yeah, they just can't quite make it stick onto Windsor on the Aatrox. I like what they're going for. He has the biggest shutdown. Well, now Vladimir has the same shutdown as him, but I think at the time he was the only one with 1,000 gold shutdown. So they're looking to get that pick onto him to help get some gold back into the game, but I think he's got too much safety in the mid lane. His team can collapse on him too easily. I think you want him to be farming a side wave when you go for that.
Replay here, walk us through it.
It's a little bit blurry, but yeah, we saw a big engage from the Alistar. And the fight just turns around. Void doing his best to put out the damage, but he's not got enough on his own to get through the entire team.
Whoa. Back to live now. Void able to go on a killing spree with the help of dolls. Once again, they find another pick onto the Emperor in this top lane. Last Wish in the area this time. Going to be able to dodge away from that knock up from the Grand Entrance. We do see Windsor off in the side once again. Has the teleport to join up with the rest of the team if he so desires, as the rest of the team just getting some vision around Baron right now. In comes the Zac. Lord Lighty looking for this one with the Hex Flash. Not going to go in with the combo, though.
Yeah, I'm not sure I like
Baker is kind of in an interesting position behind the rest of the team. Doll's going to go in with the slingshot. Jarvan going to get stunned up. The CC is there, but the Annie is quite far behind. This is Everfrost Annie, so Beta doesn't really have a lot of burst damage, and Aatrox is just pushing into the base right now, completely unmatched, as French Baker is going to be able to EQ away from those feathers. Has the support from the Alistar as well. True Emperor back now in the mid lane. Tibbers comes out, doesn't get the stun though. The AP Twitch damage is there. Beta flashing forward for the W, but he's not in range to actually get the damage, and Twitch is going to find the solo kill. Meanwhile, the base is getting annihilated by the Aatrox, and Roz is over here now to try and defend, but he's 3 levels down and he doesn't have an inhibitor turret anymore, so the inhibitor is sure to fall now as well. The rest of Emrys already onto the Baron. That's gonna go over, and the gold lead now, it's over 10k Poro, and this one is feeling pretty over.
I think it's as good as over. Yeah, really nice macro from the side of Emrys. They just stall, they run around the jungle, make people chase them. Meanwhile, Windsor's pushing on the bot side, and then we see your Everfrost Annie can't even kill their Twitch. I mean, that's just sad at this point.
Yeah.
I think it's just time for Emrys to put them out of their misery. I think they send someone top to bring the wave, they group mid, they siege it, take that inhib and then rotate into the top lane, take that one too, and it should just be game over.
On the bright side for Aftermath, they are going to survive longer than they did in Game 1. Game 1 was over at 23 minutes, or just after 23 minutes, and we can see that's on the clock right now, and their Nexus is still alive, so that's something.
All about the consolation prizes.
Yeah. You know, you gotta take what you can get when you have a match like this. You gotta look at what didn't go horribly wrong to try and get something out of it. But this is going to be the second Infernal Dragon going over. We do see Windsor pushing up through the bottom lane. Already took down this inhibitor, so the Aatrox is not really putting pressure on anything in particular. He's just existing right now on this bottom side of the map, which is pretty threatening, to be honest.
Yeah, definitely a threat. And, you know, we're talking about consolation prizes. Oh, we might see an engage. Maybe
Hey, here comes Lady over the wall. Doesn't want to go onto the Alawi, though. Just kind of not going to headbutt Alawi into his entire team. They are going to engage on Raz, though, as in comes Vladimir with the Hemo Plagues. And Raz trying to make something happen, but he's so far behind, he's just going to get all the blood sucked out of him by Last Wish. But Vladimir already using the Hemo Plague, taking a lot of damage here. All they're using the Sanguine Pool as well. That would be the shutdown going over to Dolls, but that is going to be, it looks like, the only thing that Aftermath get in this team fight. Void going to be the last to go down. In comes the dunk from the Baker. Puts him in the oven, and that is going to be the 24-minute Nexus take by Emrys in Game 2. What a dominant showing from them in this second week. Up to 4-0 now. Top of the table for this squad. They are looking like the team to beat.
Emrys definitely looking like the team to beat in CWL. And for the side of Aftermath, we're talking about, you know, what to take away. It's easier to learn from a loss than it is from a win. And I think there's a lot of things that they can learn from this. So with it being so early in the season, it's important not to get disheartened by a series like this and just try to look at what was exposed by Emrys and improve on those aspects.
Absolutely. Lots of time still for Aftermath to kind of shore up some of these errors, some of these miscalculations that we saw in tonight's match. So absolutely, and like you said earlier, they did have a pretty strong showing in week 1 as well. So we know that this team is still definitely capable of making a push, towards playoffs. Obviously very far away still, but making a push towards the upper half of those standings, something we're going to be tracking certainly over the coming weeks. But for the side of Emrys, really congratulations to them. I mean, what an impressive week 2 from a squad that's new to the league, really kind of making a statement upon their arrival. Very impressive stuff. Last Wish, topping out the damage charts this time around, will be able to edge out as top laner, 22k for the Vladimir, but Aatrox will come in second place.
Yeah, really good performance by both solo laners, but as well as gameplay, I'm really impressed by the drafting of Emrys. I think both games they came out of draft phase with an advantage. I thought the Olaf's, like the way they found the Olaf pick into the first 3 picks of Aftermath in the first game was really good. I think the Aatrox angle was good. I like that when shown Xayah, they opted for they opted for a AD carry rather that can hard outrange her. I think that's the weakness of Xayah. If she needs to run at you, she's struggling. So, and they did that in both games actually, the Xayah thing. So yeah, I really like their drafting.
Absolutely, yeah, playing it out really, really nicely. Void, like you said, trying to make the Xayah work, but when your team falls that far behind, it can be really tough. Xayah is a more defensive carry. They were able to hang on in some of those fights at least, thanks to just kind of Void's play and being able to peel back, and remembering that one fight in the mid lane where Aftermath were on the defensive, but like they were able to keep Xayah safe. They were able to peel back and get a couple of kills for themselves. But ultimately, it just was really a story of the solo lanes tonight. Something that you don't really see too often in the current meta, but just goes to show how dominant those performances were from Windsor and Last Wish.
Yeah, really, really nice games from the solo laners. But not to take anything away from the rest of the team, like in the second game, you have the bot lane from Emrys, they're just getting completely hard camped. Like, you can't expect them to pop off in this game. They're playing Twitch Alistair, Zac is in their lane 24/7. But they did their job, they held on while the solo laners popped off, so really good weak side game.
Yeah, and French Baker as well had a lot of nice counter ganks. Wasn't the most aggressive Jarvan performance, but did a great job in setting up a lot of those fights. And, the 3-1 and 15 scoreline from the jungle, their actually highest KDA, is going to go to French Baker on that J4.
Yeah, I really liked the second game. We have MVP voting up.
Indeed we do. So please go ahead, head over to that Discord, guys. Cast your votes. Let us know. Was it Windsor or was it Last Wish? Who's the POG tonight for the side of Emrys? Are we going to be able to do an interview as well, production, or is that something that we don't have set up yet? No interviews tonight, guys, but certainly that POG honor, or the MVP honor, rather, is something that is going to be very, very nice for whoever does get it. Windsor well ahead right now. 7 votes.
Yeah, I think when you pop off like that, you go deathless, you smash lane both games, you're a huge carry, you play side lane well. I think, what more can you ask for from a top laner?
I believe, was that 0 deaths across both games?
Yeah, deathless both games.
That's pretty tough to compete with, to be honest.
Definitely is.
Yeah, you have any final thoughts on tonight's match, Poro? It did end up being pretty one-sided. Game 1, at least, was pretty back and forth early on, but in the end, it really did feel like Emrys were comfortably the better team tonight.
Yeah, I agree, and I look forward to seeing more from Emrys, because like I said, I like their drafting, and I'm a big draft enthusiast. Yeah, I think there's a lot to learn from Aftermath, like I said, and it's a good learning experience rather than just thinking of this as a negative thing.
Certainly. Very much looking forward to see what both of these squads are going to be able to get done over the rest of the season, but that is going to pretty much do it from us tonight. Congratulations to Emrys on the 2-0. Congratulations to Windsor on the MVP performance. From myself, from Poro here, from the entire production team at Cobalt Wins League, thank you so much for watching. Really appreciate you all, and we will be back here, I imagine, later this week for tomorrow. We are going to have another match for you all to enjoy. Same place, So be sure to keep your eyes open on the YouTube stream for when that goes live. Thank you for watching tonight, and have a wonderful rest of your evening.